That persistent, nagging itch you've been ignoring? It might be the most important message your body has ever sent you. Welcome, my friends. Professor Vitalis here, with your daily dose of wisdom and wellness, where science and experience walk hand in hand. Today, we are diving deep into a topic most people dismiss as trivial, yet it holds the power to save lives. We are going to explore the quiet, subtle language of our bodies, specifically how a persistent itch in 5 very specific areas can be an early warning sign of cancer, long before any other symptoms appear. I urge you to stay with me for this entire discussion, because at the very end, we will address the single most overlooked and delicate of these signals, the one people are often too embarrassed to mention, yet it can be one of the earliest signs of a preventable tragedy. Understanding this final point is absolutely critical for your long-term health. Let's begin. The first signal: a relentless, stubborn itch on your lower legs. When those of us in our later years begin to feel a constant need to scratch our shins and calves, it's all too easy to write it off. We blame dry, aging skin, a change in the weather, or perhaps a new soap or laundry detergent. But what I'm talking about here is a very distinct kind of itch. This is not the fleeting annoyance that a good moisturizing cream can soothe. This is a deep, persistent, sometimes almost burning sensation that often intensifies at night, disrupting your sleep and offering no relief. This specific symptom has been observed time and time again in individuals who were later diagnosed with a cancer of the blood or lymphatic system, most notably lymphoma. So, how does this happen? The science is quite elegant in its explanation. Cancers like Hodgkin's lymphoma originate in your lymphatic system, which is a crucial part of your body's immune defense and fluid drainage network. As these cancerous cells begin to multiply uncontrollably, they trigger a systemic immune response. This response causes the release of a flood of inflammatory substances, known as cytokines, into your bloodstream. These cytokines are chemical messengers that, in this case, carry a corrupted signal. They travel throughout your body and can profoundly irritate the sensitive nerve endings just beneath your skin. For reasons we are still studying, these nerve endings in the lower limbs are particularly susceptible, resulting in that profound, maddening itch, even when the skin itself looks perfectly normal. I remember the case of a gentleman, a 75-year-old man named George, who shared his story at a health conference. For nearly 6 months, his only complaint was an uncontrollable itch on the front of his legs. His doctor initially suspected eczema or an allergic reaction, but George was diligent. He tried every cream, changed his diet, and wore only natural fibers, all to no avail. What finally cracked the case was his persistence. He told his doctor, "This isn't normal." A simple blood test revealed abnormal white blood cell counts, which led to a CT scan. The scan showed enlarged lymph nodes in his chest. The diagnosis was suddenly clear: lymphoma. The itch came first, George would say, long before anything else. While not every itch on your legs is cancer, here is the crucial difference. If there is no rash, no obvious cause, and the itch endures for weeks, becoming a nightly torment, it is a signal you must not ignore, especially if it's accompanied by other quiet signs like persistent fatigue, night sweats, or unexplained weight loss. Your body is whispering, and you need to listen. Now for our second signal: an itch located deep between your shoulder blades or in the upper part of your back. This is a peculiar one. An itch right in that hard-to-reach spot is often blamed on poor posture, the dry air in our homes, or even the tag on an old shirt. But for many older adults, a stubborn, deep-seated itch specifically in this area can be one of the earliest signs of pancreatic cancer. I know what you're thinking. How could a problem with an organ deep inside your abdomen cause an itch on your back? The connection seems strange, but the physiology is fascinatingly direct. Think of your bile ducts as a tiny, intricate plumbing system that carries bile, a substance essential for digestion, from your liver to your intestines. The pancreas is situated right next to this system. When a tumor begins to grow on the pancreas, even a very small one, it can press on and obstruct these bile ducts. This creates a kind of dam, With the normal flow blocked, the components of bile, specifically bile salts, have nowhere to go but to back up and accumulate in the bloodstream. These bile salts are highly irritating to nerve endings. For reasons not yet fully understood, they seem to have a particular affinity for the dense network of nerves in the upper back, near the spine. The result is a profound, nagging itch that feels like it's coming from inside your body, an itch that no amount of scratching can relieve. I recall a 70-year-old woman named Lyudmila who described this sensation as a phantom itch. She would wake up at night, trying desperately to scratch her back, convinced something was crawling on her skin. She tried back scratchers, lotions, even changed her mattress, but nothing worked. The itch, she said, felt like it was in my bones. It was only when she visited her doctor for an entirely separate complaint, overwhelming fatigue, that blood tests revealed highly elevated liver enzymes. This was the first clue that her body's internal plumbing was blocked. Subsequent scans discovered a small pancreatic tumor pressing on her bile duct. The itch had been her only symptom for months. Her story is a powerful reminder. If you experience a localized, persistent itch that doesn't improve with skincare, especially if accompanied by other subtle signs like dark urine, pale stools, or chronic tiredness, your back might just be trying to tell you something about what's happening deep inside. And now, if you are finding this information valuable, please take a moment to write the number 2 in the comments below. It lets me know that we are on this journey of discovery together. And if you haven't yet, I invite you to subscribe and press the bell icon. Your support helps us to continue creating this vital content that informs and empowers our community. Let's proceed to our third signal, an itchy scalp without any sign of dandruff or flaking. An itchy head seems like one of life's minor annoyances. We blame it on dry winter air, a new shampoo, or simply the effects of aging on our skin. But when that itch becomes a constant companion and there is no visible cause, no dandruff, no redness, no rash, no flaking skin, it can be an early symptom of a more serious underlying issue. This includes hematological cancers like leukemia, as well as skin cancer on the scalp itself. What makes this type of itch so unique is its character. It isn't just a dry, surface-level itch. People often describe it as a tingling, a crawling, or even a slight burning sensation, as if something is moving just beneath the surface. It can migrate from one spot to another on the head and is utterly unresponsive to typical remedies. Anti-dandruff shampoos and scalp-soothing oils provide no relief. In older adults, this sensation can be a telltale sign of nerve irritation caused by an abnormal immune response. This process is often triggered when leukemic cells begin to multiply rapidly in the bloodstream, throwing the body's delicate inflammatory balance into chaos. There was a 73-year-old gentleman, Gennady, who told me his scalp would begin to itch like clockwork every day after lunch. He changed his shampoo and stopped wearing his favorite hat, thinking that was the cause. But the itch remained his constant, perplexing companion. Your support helps us to continue creating this vital content that informs and empowers our community. Let's proceed to our third signal, an itchy scalp without any sign of dandruff or flaking. An itchy head seems like one of life's minor annoyances. We blame it on dry winter air, a new shampoo, or simply the effects of aging on our skin. But when that itch becomes a constant companion and there is no visible cause, no dandruff, no redness, no rash, no flaking skin, it can be an early symptom of a more serious underlying issue. This includes hematological cancers like leukemia, as well as skin cancer on the scalp itself. What makes this type of itch so unique is its character. It isn't just a dry, surface-level itch. People often describe it as a tingling, a crawling, or even a slight burning sensation, as if something is moving just beneath the surface. It can migrate from one spot to another on the head and is utterly unresponsive to typical remedies. Anti-dandruff shampoos and scalp-soothing oils provide no relief. In older adults, this sensation can be a telltale sign of nerve irritation caused by an abnormal immune response. This process is often triggered when leukemic cells begin to multiply rapidly in the bloodstream, throwing the body's delicate inflammatory balance into chaos. There was a 73-year-old gentleman, Gennady, who told me his scalp would begin to itch like clockwork every day after lunch. He changed his shampoo and stopped wearing his favorite hat, thinking that was the cause. But the itch remained his constant, perplexing companion. When an older individual, particularly a woman, but also men, experiences a persistent itch in the breast area, especially around the nipple or underneath the breast, it's very easy to attribute it to sweat, a poorly fitting bra, or the natural thinning of the skin with age. However, this specific zone is one of the most critically ignored when it comes to serious cancer symptoms, including the particularly aggressive inflammatory breast cancer. What makes this sign so insidious is that the itch can appear long before any palpable lump forms. The skin might feel warm, a little tight, or irritated. Sometimes a slight thickening, redness, or a texture resembling an orange peel may develop, but often there are no visual clues at all, only that deep, relentless itch that no cream or ointment can quell. It stays in one spot, day after day. I remember the story of a 69-year-old woman named Raisa, who felt a strange itch on her right breast. She tried changing her bra, her laundry detergent, and even went without undergarments for several days, thinking it was friction. But the troublesome itch persisted in the exact same location. When she finally mentioned it to her doctor, he noticed a very subtle indentation of the skin and immediately referred her for imaging. The tests revealed a small but aggressive tumor located close to the skin's surface, one that did not present as the typical round lump we are taught to look for. This is why inflammatory breast cancer is so dangerous. It breaks the rules. It can mimic a simple skin rash but grows rapidly, and its first symptom is often skin irritation, not a lump or pain. For men, this symptom is even easier to overlook. Male breast cancer is rare, but it does occur, and it's frequently diagnosed at a later stage because the symptoms are not what men expect. An itchy patch near the nipple, a small thickening of the skin, or a vague discomfort under the pectoral muscle doesn't sound alarming. But in men between 60 and 80, it demands immediate attention. Furthermore, this type of itch isn't always related to a tumor in the breast itself. It can also be caused by enlarged lymph nodes under the arm or above the collarbone, signaling lymphoma or another malignancy in the chest cavity. So if an itch in this area is accompanied by any swelling, warmth, or even a vague sense of heaviness, do not wait. Early diagnosis begins not with expensive machines, but with your own careful attention. And if you're still with me and finding this information helpful, please let me know by writing the number 4 in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a wonderful time to do so and to press the bell so you don't miss our future discussions. Your engagement inspires us to continue this important work. And now we arrive at our final and most crucial signal. Number 5. A persistent itch in the genital or anal area. Of all the body's potential discomforts, an itch in our most private areas is among the most awkward to discuss, and therefore the most frequently ignored. It's an uncomfortable topic, especially for older generations, and many suffer in silence rather than raise the issue with a doctor. But when such an itch becomes chronic and is not linked to hygiene, a known infection, or simple irritation, it can be a vital signal of a much more serious problem. In some cases, a persistent itch in this region can be an early symptom of anal cancer, vulvar cancer, or penile cancer. What makes this symptom so dangerous is how effectively it masquerades as something insignificant. We blame dry skin, a reaction to toilet paper, friction from clothing, or a side effect of incontinence pads, and in many cases, those are indeed the causes. But when the itch lasts for weeks or months, when it keeps coming back, when no amount of cleansing, creams, or moisturizers helps, and especially when the sensation deepens into a burning or painful feeling, it's time to seek medical advice. I think of a 76-year-old man named Eugene, who for almost a year believed he was simply dealing with a stubborn case of hemorrhoids. He tried every over-the-counter remedy, creams, suppositories, sitz baths, but nothing provided lasting relief. When he finally went to a doctor at his wife's insistence, an examination revealed a small tumor in the anal canal that had been growing silently, with no other outward signs. It was his body's unrelenting itch signal that, once heeded, led to an early diagnosis. The same story applies to women. Vulvar cancer is rare, but its incidence increases after the age of 60. One of the very first signs is often a recurring itch in the external genital area. There may be no visible tumor, but the skin might feel slightly rough, discolored, or thinner than usual. Many postmenopausal women assume this is due to hormonal changes or dryness, and often it is. But if the itch is relentless, worsens at night, and does not resolve with appropriate treatment, it cannot be ignored. This area of our body is rich with nerve endings. It's incredibly sensitive and often sends distress signals long before a problem becomes visible. The itch could be from cellular changes in the skin, inflammation of the nerves, or nearby enlarged lymph nodes signaling a problem elsewhere. Heeding this signal is paramount. The greatest danger is not the symptom, but the silence and embarrassment that surround it. Simply telling your doctor about the itch can be the first step toward an early diagnosis, more effective treatment, and peace of mind. In closing, I want to leave you with a simple but profound thought. Your body is always communicating with you. Sometimes it speaks through pain, sometimes through fatigue, and sometimes it speaks through a tiny, persistent signal like an itch that returns to the same place again and again. The 5 areas we discussed today, the lower legs, the upper back, the scalp, the chest, and the genital region, are not random. They are specific zones where serious internal problems, including certain cancers, often send out their first quietest signals. For those of us in our later years, learning to hear these signals can mean the difference between early detection and a disease that progresses unnoticed. You do not need to live in fear. The goal of our discussion today is not to frighten you, but to fortify you with awareness. Knowledge only works when you apply it. I'm Professor Vitalis. Stay curious, stay healthy, and never stop learning.